Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In the headlines today, social media censorship. So you'll get ready to have a lot of your posts either deemed to be misinformation or disinformation. You got the election coming up. They still keeping us in the blind, if you will, when it comes to the pandemic, right? And so, yeah, it looks like Biden and his internet bullies catch a W. This is What's the 411 News. Let's go. Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it.
Peace, family. So, the Supreme Court just ruled that the U.S. government, the Biden administration, the CIA, all of these different government agencies can bully social media companies into limiting free speech in whatever way the government wants. Some of you may remember that Brother Riza and Islam and I were at the Supreme Court on March 18th, to hear the deliberations whether the social media companies should be provided injunctive relief from the government bullying. And there was never any decision made, but now a decision has been made on the whole case. And the decision has been that the government can go ahead and continue bullying the social media companies to limit free speech in whatever ways the government deems appropriate. So this was in regard to COVID. As many of you know, Brother Islam was on his 9th Instagram page. What many of you don't know, as a PhD in cellular and molecular biology, I was speaking out from the very beginning, but my voice was not heard. And I was not well known. I was not a social media influencer. I was just somebody with a very advanced scientific degree that understood the science of this. And yet my reach and all of my social media posts, and anybody who posted anything with me in it, like a speech that I gave during a rally or something, everyone had their social media dinged. So that is to say that the government was censoring me before anyone knew who I was. So the government knew who I was and what I was trying to say, and wanted to make sure that my message never reached the light of day. And what happened was I gave testimony in front of the Michigan House, and many of you have seen that. And when I gave that testimony in front of the Michigan House, a homeschool mom actually clipped it. This was a friend of mine, and clipped it out of the 4-hour hearing and put it up without my name on it on YouTube. I want to make sure you understand that, without my name on it, because anything with my name on it was immediately taken off of YouTube, even though no one knew who I was, right? So that went viral. And that's when many people started understanding who I was and asking me to speak. And I got a platform. That is also why I have launched a website, vi-ta.org, that has a lot of health recovery and health-related information on it. And I launched that because I can't get this information out to you via social media. But the take home is that it doesn't matter what the issue is, whether it's about the elections, whether it's about pandemic, whatever it is about, the social media companies can do anything they want. I mean, actually, I was going to say they can't do anything they want. They're being bullied by the government to do whatever the government and all of its agencies want you to do. So this is the huge first step in the total devolution of our republic, if we indeed have one, because now if you have no free speech, you don't have any other rights either, because now the sole arbiter of truth will be these government agencies. And if your scientific truth doesn't match the random, frivolous opinion designated by the government as truth, such as 6-foot social distancing, if that's now the truth, well, now we're just into a dystopian novel, which we have been for 4 years. So welcome to 1984. The book burnings have begun, the rewriting of history has begun, and the complete censorship of truth continues.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to our sister, our intelligent sister, Dr. Parks. She gets it in, and we thank her for always informing us. And None of y'all better put your hands on her. All right? Don't put your hands on her. You can play the censorship game, but don't put your hands on her. All right? Okay. So yeah, let's get into this, man. The Biden's internet bullies. All right. Supreme Court is rejects the lawsuit over social media censorship claims. I think we reported this early on in the year, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't here, then it was on our podcast, on my podcast channel, excuse me. And we talked about this, that Biden's administration was trying to push to get some stronghold on the social media, so to suppress the free speech of all of us. All right. And so, yeah, we're going to get into this right now, go a little bit more into it, and check out this article real quick. All right. So, yeah, so the Supreme Court on Wednesday tossed out a lawsuit that sought to restrict the federal government's ability to communicate with social media companies about content moderation. In other words, they wanted to restrict the Biden's internet bullies from trying to bully social media platforms. So folks like us, and even just individuals who want to have their say in their word, and they get information and find out stuff and want to let other people know out of the goodness of their hearts, if you will, because keeping information when you don't know things, it can cause problems for you. All right, the lack of information. And when you left in the dark, you don't know what's going on, and you wondering why this is happening, why that's happening, how come these things are going on, and because they keeping information from you. All right. And so the Supreme Court voted or ruled in Biden and his bullies, the internet bullies, that they can go ahead and push up on social media platforms. So Elon Musk, they can step to you and say, yo, we want you to cut off so and so's reach. All right. Neil Mahan, the CEO of YouTube, Indian guy, not a Jewish guy, Indian guy. They can step to you and say, yo, fella, we want you to suppress such and such podcast channel. We want you to suppress such and such news channel. All right. So now they've been given the green light to try to step and check social media platforms. Who else? We got Twitter. We talked to Elon, Neil Mahan. We got Facebook, Zuckerberg. They can tell you, yo, turn down the algorithms on homeboy over there, right? Or homegirl over there. And when we start talking about the presidential election, or we start talking about the pandemic, they can just turn the dial down or shut you down because the Supreme Court said it was okay for Biden and his bullies, his internet bullies, to push up on these social media platforms. And, if they do that and then they tell them, hey, you need to shut those folks down, we don't want them talking about what's going on with this election. They might sway votes, right? But if it's true information, why not? It's free speech anyway, right? Or if we get new information on what's been going on with these vaccines, you're going to want your channel shut down. As the doctor mentioned, Riza Islam was like on his 8th, I think, Instagram page. So they shut him down like 8 different times for putting out information that we know is coming out to be the truth now, right? Go figure. Let's get into it. All right. 6-3 decision in Murphy versus Missouri et al. Overturned the lower court ruling that would have restricted the federal government's communication with internet giants like Google, Meta, and Twitter over what is saw as quote misinformation on issues such as COVID-19 vaccines and election interference. The majority opinion, let me stop there real quick before I go on. When he's talking about election interference, it's not going to be election interference. The mainstream, the lamestream media has already showed for the world to see what's been going on with the Biden administration. First, they let a whole bunch of people across the border, right? All those people across the border started doing a bunch of crimes, right? And then they try to cover it up and say, oh, we putting in something in place where we won't let them come across the border so easily or at all now. Just as a little smokescreen. So, what is any election fraud or any election misinformation? What kind of misinformation is that? You showing us on the lamestream news is even showing that. You're putting it out there in the open. It's obvious. So how is that changing the election? It's just straight facts. But the Supreme Court wants those straight facts or give the green light for the government to step again. I keep repeating this for a reason. To step up and press up on these social media platform execs and say, yo, it's time to shut such and such down completely or fix it to where they're reached. Ain't nobody barely even can catch any of their posts. So this is something for you guys to know. It's very important. All right. On a whole lot of levels, it's important for the individual who gets their news from more platforms like us instead of messing with the lamestream media. They want to get the new black media information because it's more legit, right? From the individual who wants that information or other folks, other groups of people, right? All right, let's continue, man. Let's continue. The majority opinion written by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, y'all know her, right? Y'all remember her, found that the two Republican led states and social media users who filed the lawsuit against dozens of executive branch officials and agencies did not have the legal right to do so because they could not prove that government pressure had suppressed their free speech rights. The decision reversed the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, which had issued a sweeping injunction to halt what it said were government communications with social media companies that constituted attempts at censorship. The Supreme Court opinion states that none of the states and individuals who brought the suit could connect government communications about social media posts to actions taken against them. Barrett wrote that the plaintiffs could not make a connection between government communication and moderation decisions treated the government, quote unquote, as a monolithic entity and frequently confused the timeline. But they fail by and large to link their past social media restrictions to the defendant's communications with the platforms, Barrett wrote. The plaintiffs tried to use as evidence government communications with social media companies that happened after blocking decisions against them, or government communications with a different social media company, Barrett wrote. Facebook and other platforms restricted social media posts about the pandemic and the election both before and after government communications, Barrett wrote, saying it complicated any claims of censorship. Barrett's opinion also rejected a, quote, right to listen for social media users, finding it startlingly broad, quote unquote, and would give every social media user the right to sue over alleged censorship of another one's post. Justice Samuel A. Alito Jr., in a dissent joined by Justices Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch, I think that's how you pronounce it, wrote that the majority ignored the subtle effects of government officials, quote, blatantly unconditional, unquote, pressure campaign against social media companies. The majority decision permits, quote unquote, permits the successful campaign of coercion in this case to stand as an attractive model for future officials who want to control what the people say, hear, and think, Alito wrote. I'm going to read that one again. The majority decision permits the successful campaign of coercion, in this case, to stand as an attractive model for future officials who want to control what the people say, what the people hear, and what the people think, Alito wrote. Alito wrote the social media companies have a powerful incentive to keep government officials happy, and the government should face accountability for actions social media companies took after the broad campaign from government officials. Alito pointed out that a district court had termed this a far-reaching and widespread censorship campaign conducted by high-ranking federal officials against Americans who expressed certain disfavored views about COVID-19 on social media. If the lower court's assessment of the voluminous record is correct, this is one of the most important free speech cases to reach this court in years, Alito wrote. The lower court injunction in a lawsuit brought by the states of Missouri and Louisiana, along with a handful of social media users, would have blocked government agencies from engaging in coercion or significant encouragement of social media platforms to censor views the government disfavored. All right. So throughout the case, the Biden administration has maintained that its communications with social media companies were expressing government views about the company's responsibility to police their own sites, not censorship efforts. The case was dovetailed with broader Republican complaints about censorship online and attracted the attention of House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio. So Jordan attended oral arguments in the case, and his subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government has held multiple hearings on allegations that the Biden administration conspired with social media companies to censor conservative-leaning speech online. Jordan criticized the decision in a statement Wednesday, pointing to an investigation by the subcommittee that had uncovered an alleged pressure campaign against social media companies. Quote, our country benefits when ideas can be tested and debated fairly on their merits, whether online or in the halls of Congress, Jordan's statement said. Jordan's statement also said Congress should pass legislation that would give members of the public a right to sue the federal government if their social media posts are censored. I agree with that. We should sue them. The House Judiciary Committee advanced the legislation on a party line vote in February. I'm going to read that last one again. Jordan's statement also said Congress should pass legislation that would give members of the public a right to sue the federal government if their social media posts are censored. The House Judiciary Committee advanced the legislation on a party line vote in February. All right. Yeah, we should be given the right to sue the federal government for censoring our social media posts. So, again, they're out to get ready for it if it hasn't already happened. They'll let certain posts go through if it's nothing that's threatening. I know that for a fact because I recently put a post up on Twitter that has now gotten about 28, if I'm not mistaken, 28,000 views. But it's a non-threatening type of post. All right. But if I start putting some other posts on there, I'll probably get one view or no views, maybe one heart. All right. So yeah, just little data and detail information that we kind of pay attention to. All right, it's this information that was put out on Twitter. Like I said, it has about 28,000 views now, and it's still going. As a matter of fact, let me check. It's still continuing. All right, let me real quick here. Let me just take a look. Oh, it looks like it's about 34,000 now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take another look at that real quick here. It's gone up since then. Yeah, it's 34,000 views. It's in regards to foundational Black American culture. And I guess it's not threatening as far as the election, and it's not threatening as far as the pandemic. So it was allowed to go through and get all these views. But we're going to see soon, because we're going to get heavy into the election starting on the 1st. And so we're going to see if the what's going to happen with the Supreme Court ruling. We're going to see how many views we get then. All right. So yeah, you guys let us know, man, what you think about this one. Yeah, we keeping our eyes on this for sure. Most definitely. All right. Let us know what you think about this one, man. Put it in the comments. We are available on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, podcasts. We'll be on a few other platforms pretty soon. So you'll be able to see us and get us everywhere. All right. Go to what's the411news.com. And again, let us know what you think about this one. Get ready for all you content creators out there. All right. Get ready, because if you do something that's going to be informative to your people, in particular Black Americans, get ready to get shut down completely or to get suppressed very heavily. All right. Shadow banned and all that. Algorithms turned down almost to zero. All right. This is What's the 411 News. We out. Let us know what you think. Peace. Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it.